Sorry about that. I got a phone call that came in, so it interrupted my filming, so I'll do part 2 of 2. And so they had me sign a full written confession if or actually they said that they wouldn't ensure that I lost my job, and in fact that they would ensure that I kept my job as a Michigan conservation officer, because of course this was in Canada and it was the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service that came after me. So they decided to try to charge me with 4 5-year felonies consecutive, which would mean, as a first offender, a person never even smoking pot and law-abiding citizen could face up to 20 years in prison for shooting this wolf in self-defense and buying the tag illegally after the fact. That if I signed a written confession that I wouldn't be charged, and that I wouldn't lose my job, and that I would only have to plead to 1 misdemeanor. So I wrote a written confession, and they then said, oh, by the way, here's your plea agreement, and that says that you are going to, in fact, have to quit your job. So I quit my job, and 2 weeks later I drove across the country and arrived here in Juneau, Alaska on the ferry after a several-day ferry ride where I began my next journey as a hard rock underground miner. I became a miner, and I was the only female underground operator, and I operated heavy haul trucks, bulldozers, loaders, muckers, tractors, and I had a federal explosives license. And I would have kept doing that job and profession because it was very lucrative, but I had an opportunity to follow another passion, which is survival, where I left and worked for Discovery Network, and I went over to Africa, and I went to the Serengeti, and I was the first person to ever be featured on Naked and Afraid. So I used that adversity as a catapult to accomplish my dreams. And then when I returned from Naked and Afraid in Africa, I was injured for 2 months and had to lay on my stomach in another harbor here in the wintertime in Juneau, Alaska. And as I recovered, I did a lot of deep soul searching, and I went from making $60,000 a year to $7,000 a year. And then I decided I had to start living life with passion, even more so than I had before. And so I went back into guiding. I had owned my own guiding company in Michigan for 8 years called UP Wide Adventure Guide. So I became a guide guiding clients to ice caves, glaciers, mountains, and teaching survival, and also out on the sea. And then more recently I got my captain's license, and I became a captain for that same company. So I'm living a life with passion, and I've actually been enjoying the ocean so much here in the North Pacific that I haven't even touched land for 5 days, and this is my Friday. So I just thought I'd share with you a little bit of my personal story and a little bit of how you can take adversity that may happen in your life and use it as a catapult to success and to follow your dreams. And